All right, guys. So let's move on from here and let's discuss. I think this is a actually good spot to start talking about the reusable components. So we did the functional components already, where we talked about there is no reusable case for them. So you can't get that component and use it somewhere else because it's basically built for a specific function. But you still want to make sure that you separate it from the main component and make it a child of that component, so that you can have a separation of concerns and have all this functionality that that component does in a separate file for itself. So if it breaks, you can always fix it there and you don't have to mess around with an entire file full of code, right? Now, we'll talk about the reusable component here. What is a reusable component? Is basically the same thing as a functional component. It's a separation of concerns. So you bring a component out in its own ecosystem with its own imports and its own classes. Everything is all together there, but it has several uses. You can build props and you can build conditions and you can build all kind of things inside it, so that you can send that component and use it or call it in different places on different pages, whatever, and then make it do something different depending on the prop that you are specifying and the value that you pass to the prop that is in it. Okay, we're gonna see this in action now. All right, so we're gonna turn the main menu into that. So as we can see, we are bringing in here two different menus, the main menu and inside the mobile menu panel, I believe. Yep, we have another menu here. So we're gonna basically turn these two menus into just a menu. Okay, we can call it menu because we're gonna clash with this menu that is being used on this right side area there, and we're not gonna deal with that just yet. So we're gonna call it something else. Don't know what to call it, to be honest. Custom menu. We could call it custom menu. Application app menu. App menu. Sure, app menu. We can call it app menu. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring a new component here, new file, and we're gonna call it app menu.jsx. And this is going to be a compilation of everything all together. So inside the app menu, app menu JSX, we are going to AFCE. And now in here, we're going to bring both guys. Here's your main menu. Yep, right there. We're going to bring it into right here. And your mobile menu panel, which is this one, we're gonna bring that guy also in there. And obviously it is not going to like this, because you can have two children without a parent. Okay, right now they are orphan. Both of these children are orphans. So this right here needs to be inside of a parent that is going to hold them together so they can play together. Come on, what's going on? All right, that, minimize this, and then down here close the parent. All right, now they're working together. And then now we need to bring this mobile menu panel right here. We're gonna bring in this disclosure here as well, so that it could work with it. And I'm gonna do that. Now I know I'm gonna end up needing prop types and all that stuff, so I might as well just bring it in. What is that? Prop types. So just bring that in there right now, get it over with. We're gonna need it eventually anyway. All right, what is it that we need to spit out? Oh, let's just go ahead and just build up prop types. Yeah, whatever. All right, so we know we need to put out the navigation. All right, that you're gonna call from the front. Let's call it something else instead. Let's call it data. Okay, let's call it data, because when you get here to the nav bar, you're gonna basically just call it here as data navigation. All right, so that's fine. Data is fine. So now we need to make sure that this uses the data so that it maps through the data, and this one as well maps through the data. I know it looks like we're doing work on both sides, but we're going to consolidate this. I just need you to understand what we're doing. Alright, and then obviously I have to change this to data so that the map function can understand what is going on. Alright, we are there. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is this disclosure buttons right now, and this currents and all this different crazy stuff here. It's using right now an A tag as a parser for these links, okay, which is not really a good thing because it causes a refresh whenever I go anywhere. Okay, so in order to visualize what it is that's going on, I'm going to save this, but then I am going to, before I import this into the navbar, let's actually turn this into actual pages. The dashboard is going to actually be called home, because we do have a page called home, and we're going to leave it like this, and we're not going to use that. We're going to make this one about, and that one is going to go to the about page, which we created. We have routes for this, if you can remember right there. We have these two routes right here, and let's just, you know what, just for the hell of it, just because I don't want to have to deal with an empty link in there, let's just create a route for an empty route for the component, for the contact page. So let's new folder, contact, and new file, contact.jsx, and let's just IRFCE contact page. Oh my god, contact page. All right, so that's done. Let's go to the app. Let's add it to our, let's add it to our list of pages. Import contact, there it is, already done. And then down here, route path is going to be contact. Okay, so that way now it's available. So you can go ahead and close the app.js and the contact. We don't need it. We just wanted that to, so that this doesn't go into nothing and it creates a not found page, which by the way we're going to create a photo for eventually for those situations. Okay, good. Alright, so now we have an about and a contact. So if I click on about, you see that it went to the about page. Contact, it went to the contact page, and if I click on home, it's going to the home page. So good, we have an actual working menu, okay? But we don't have a very good looking menu. And the reason why is because we haven't created this the right way, okay? Right now, this is calling that A tag that I mentioned. So in order to do that, what we're going to do is, where are we working? Let's close. I think we're done with the logo for sure. And the menu button, we're done with that. All right, let's work on this. All right, so we need to bring in something called nav link. I think it's supposed to be inside nav link from React router DOM. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to replace this disclosure buttons with nav links. The key can stay the same because you need a key every time you have a map, so that's fine. And we don't need this anymore because you're not going to be using A tags anymore. And then instead of href, they're going to be 2. Now that's, yeah, that's fine, that's fine. And that will still call this prop whatever it is, right? That's fine. That's still going to call for the name, and it's going to call for the, now the current is not going to exist any longer. So I'm going to delete this, and eventually we're going to make different different classes for this anyway. So I'm just going to delete all of this, but I want to keep my object there, okay? Because we're gonna come back to do this in a little bit. We don't need this array current anymore. All right. So because we don't have the current anymore, we can get rid of the current. Actually, we're gonna do the same thing here. We're gonna copy this class name we're gonna copy, actually we're gonna copy this entire nav link into this A tag. Get rid of this all entirely. All right, cool. And now what we are going to do, yep, all right, so we don't need this current anymore, so we get rid of that. And we are still using name and href as part of our props, name and href, okay? Because the name is what puts the name there, and the href is what sends you out. So you can see that we are calling the name and the href. We're not using this current anymore, so we can get rid of that from the nav bar itself, because it's not something that we're using anymore for, that's what navlink does. Navlink creates that state that you see is a black box right now. That's the state that creates the page that you're in, but it works a little better than, see, with this one it doesn't really work. Okay, so we're gonna use one that actually works. All right, and the navlink does. All right, so we're in the nav bar, we're done there. And then, all right, we haven't imported the app menu yet because we're still using the old stuff, but I want to do that once this is kind of working, so that it's not throwing any errors. Okay, so that's done. We can get rid of this disclosure button, and then we all have left is the disclosure panel, which I remember correctly, we're still going to use it. Yeah. Okay, so technically we are ready to use this, except I do want to make sure that I control these class names from the parent. So anytime that I call this app menu, I want to make sure that I can add any classes in case I need to do any kind of adjustments. So to do that, I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna pass a prop called class name, and I'm going to also copy it in here. And now because I have that class name, if I need to use it, then I need to pass it. So I'm gonna pass it, and because I just created that, I have to create another prop here for the class name, which is going to be a string. It's not gonna be required, so I want to make sure that I keep that off, because I don't want to actually have to put a class name every time I call this component. That's why it's not required. All right, save that one more time, and now this is technically basically done. Right now, if I went to use this right now in the nav bar, it will show me two menus. It will show me the main menu, and it will show me the menu that we're talking about, right? This is the main menu, and it will show me the panel menu, right? The mobile menu. That's what I'm thinking. I'm drawing a blank here. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we can create, since you can see this right here and this right here are exactly the same. Let me see if I can make this a little, okay. So this piece of code here and this piece of code here are exactly the same. That's a problem because you're repeating yourself. So now if you need to change any kind of properties or whatever, you're gonna have to come over here and do it on both sides. So they're completely and exactly the same. So I can basically just do this and show exactly that where the difference lies, and the difference lies on this and this, but everything inside here or here is the same thing. And this is where the reusable component is going to come in. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a boolean prop, and we're going to call it block, because one menu is going to be in block and the other one is going to be in line. So we're going to call it block. So that's going to be inside those tags, and we're going to call it block. And then inside that block, we're going to say for wait, no, sorry, hold on, back up. This is going to be the same regardless of where it's going to be. Okay, correct. So that's going to be the same. What changes is the outside stuff here. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to put this closure panel. Okay, so we're going to put block here, This is the disclosure panel, right? Yeah, block. Okay, we're gonna put block, and then we're gonna put that ternary function in there. Okay, so right there. Come on, there you go. We're gonna separate this. We're gonna put that if it's a block, show me this particular piece of code here, right? Just indent this the right way so I don't get confused. And if it's not a block, which means it's an inline menu, which is the main one, then show me that, okay? All right, but now we have this block here, so we're gonna pass this block as a prop, and then this is a boolean, so we're gonna pass this as a prop types bool, okay? Let's just minimize some of the stuff. All right, cool beans. All right, so now when we go to the menu, we can call app menu block, right, as true, and it's going to show this. And then anywhere else we use app menu block as false, it will call for this right here. There's still more to optimize here, but let's just at least we are at a working state right now. So now let's go to the nav bar, and let's bring in that menu. So import app menu from app menu, there it is. And now we are going to replace the mobile menu panel and the mobile menu, the main menu. Start with the main menu. So we're gonna bring the app menu. Let's not put that in yet. All right, that Copilot is doing some stuff of his own. And we're gonna bring the data, which is going to be the navigation. That's okay. And then down here in the mobile menu panel, we're gonna get rid of this one. And then we're gonna bring in the same, actually we just changed this. Yeah, there you go, app menu. So now you see how we brought two app menus, the app menu here and the app menu here. If I do this the same way it is right now, it's just going to bring this one on both ends. Why? Because I'm not specifying that block is true, okay? Block is not even required, so it's just going to pick whichever one is false, you know. So if block is not required, then that means it's not, it depends basically on whether I call it or not. And if I don't call it, then obviously it's false, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and save this, and I have an error. Cannot read properties reading map. Undefined in the app menu, nav bar menu, app 46, maybe line 46. All right, let's see where we are. That's not where I am, right here, app menu. That's not even the right one. Okay, data, properties, data, class name block. Okay, what is going on? Undefined reading map. There's nothing that is name and ref is required, which is fine. The data is required, but it is being used. Class name and block, but are not required, so I don't have to use them if I don't want to. We'll close this. App menu, navigation. Oh, because I'm using navigation. It's data. It's data. All right, so like I said, it's bringing in both. One up here, you can barely see it, and one up here. So it's basically using both. And the way to solve this problem is by making sure that I call the one that I need to call for the right place. So I'm gonna come over here to the app menu, and this is the regular menu, and I'm gonna come over here to this one, and I'm gonna specify that this one is block. So now when I call block on this one, it makes this one true, right? So if I come over here, you can see that it's down here, and I close it, the other one is hidden away, and then when I come over here, the other one is up here. You can't see the things because it's black on black, so we gotta fix the classes, but don't worry about it. We're gonna do that in a second. But you can see the other one here, right? All right, so let's do that right now. So we're gonna go back to the app menu. Okay, but this time now, before we fix those colors, let's make sure that we optimize this. This again is still a problem. It's a double code thing, which is not ideal. All right, so we need to make sure that we put this in its own place, okay, and then just call it so that we can basically call it in the. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a component, not a component, but a data object, I guess, where we're gonna call it the navigation and we're gonna make it a function, and then we're gonna do this because this is gonna be a headless thing, and then we're gonna bring in this guy right here and put it in there like so, and then now we have to make sure that we pass this to the navigation so we can catch it in here as well. So we're gonna bring in the data in there and the class name as well, right? So we got that. Now we have to come over here to where these guys are. You can just delete that and call it just like this. Navigation data is the data, and navigation class name is the class name. We can just basically do the exact same call in here and hit enter, and if I recall correctly, this well, I think the validation, the prop types can still carry over. But if I look at the menu right here, all right, let's see. Menu is not coming in. All right, so the data is now part of the navigation. Let's make sure. Yeah, let's make sure that the navigation is the one that is calling. Okay. No, it isn't. Class name is in there, block is in there. Okay, so that's for that. Okay. That data is being passed in here and then sent in here, caught, and then sent back out. So this is the one that is being caught from here. So we're gonna call it navigation data, nav data. Yeah, let's call it nav data, which is nav data. And then that's gonna be nav data and nav class name. And that's going to be caught in here. So let's do that on both. Let's do that on both. And now we need to create the props for those. Navigation. There you go. So now it's being propped in navigation by nav data and nav class names, but then it's also propped correctly down here. Don't have anything in my notes either. Oh, come on. All right, I see what's going on. So the navigation right here, it's just being instantiated here, but it's not really returning anything. So we're gonna return something. You know, sometimes when I'm coding and I have to at the same time make sure that this whole thing is I'm explaining this in a way that you're not gonna fall asleep, which you probably are anyway. Then it kind of does turn it into a big mess. All right, so now I know it's hard to see, but it's there. Here's the home account, contact, all the entire menu is there. And then if we're gonna come over here, the menu is also here. All right, so we did this a little bit. So let's recap a little bit, and you know what, I'll cut some of this dead silence from when I was just here thinking and looking that I needed, because I needed to focus. But anyway, so let's explain what just happened here. So first of all, I consolidated the main menu and the mobile navigation menu because they are essentially the same thing. The only thing that is different about them is that one is in the main menu is going to be inline like this, and in the other menu is going to be stacked like that, right? So there's going to be some differences between them. So, but as far as functionality wise, they kind of all both go to the same place. So I got rid of the mobile menu panel and the main menu, and I created an app menu instead. And this app menu has both of these objects, or both of these elements included in there with a prop named block that is going to be, you know what, just for sake of better, let's, no, I'm not gonna do that. Let's just name him mobile, so we know that it's a name that we can actually relate to. And now we're gonna put this in the app menu here, mobile. All right, let me clean this up actually one more time. So excuse me, let's clean that up, and let's make this new data just data, and then this nav class name. Class name. Yeah, we don't need to have all that stuff. All right, and then this is now navigation. Okay, and then we need to have one for the app menu as well. Yeah, unfortunately. Okay. All right, so I just basically did the same thing and went back and redid the same thing. Sorry about that. The only reason why I did that is because I kind of thought that I could use the same prop types for both, but apparently we didn't. But you know what? I learned something. I actually didn't know that, so I learned something. All right, so let's forget about this down here then. All right, so we have now both elements here that are going to be working on whether one is mobile or not. So here, when I actually call the app menus, this is what makes it reusable. I just reuse the same component on both places, and the only thing that makes me use them differently is by just adding a mobile tag to this, and that's what makes one and the other. So you see now they're both different, both there. That's because I haven't saved this. Once I save that, that's it, it's done. So there you go. And eventually you're gonna get to see it. So once I did that, I put them in here just to even optimize it even further. I make sure that since they're both using everything in here, it's going to be exactly the same. The only difference is on these wrapper classes, but this right here is exactly the same. So I made sure that I added another component in here where I can just keep that and instantiate it as a single thing and return it so that I can use it in here. Now if I ever need to change anything in the nav link, it will just be one place to change it instead of changing it here and changing it here. Okay, now what is it that could make me change something here or here? Well, it could be the classes. This one may be a little bit different and this one may be a little bit different. So because I need to be able to control these classes separately but maintain everything else the same, I'm creating a prop called class name so that I can come over here into the main navigation here and use those classes there. All right, so now we're about to do that, just so I can show you how to customize your reusable components. Okay, so let's start with the one on the header, this one right here. So let's go ahead and call that class name, and then we're going to bring in text white, and now you start to see them. And then for this one, we are also going to make them white so we can at least see them. So let's bring it here just so we can see them on list. But we're gonna also put the class flex in there so that each one has its own thing. Now we're gonna go ahead and uppercase them. There you go. And we're going to do font weight. I think this is gonna be normal. Yeah, font weight. Wait, not this is not CSS. This is classes. So what's the font weight? Alright, I have to see what the actual class for font weights. Oh, okay, so it's font bold or semi-bold or whatever. We'll talk about that when we get to the classes part. Alright, font. Alright, here we go. So now if I go to my about page and home page and all that, see that? It works. Alright, so the only thing that we haven't done is, let's just close that, come over here, and here we go, about, contact, home, about. Alright, so now we need to work on that active class, okay, because we still haven't figured out the whole active. We got rid of the item current to begin with, so we had to make sure that we continue, that we do that. So now we're gonna go back to our menu, and because this is going to be the same thing for both, we're gonna replace that into here, into the class name. Okay, so we gotta add something else in here, and basically we're gonna create a function. But before anything like this happens, you have to make sure that this is a string literal. So we make it a string literal, and then we're gonna make this an object that we can use. We're gonna put that in there. All right, let's just not get confused. All right, there you go. And now in here, we're gonna add a function. So we're gonna start off with creating an object that is gonna contain a function. All right, and then in the value of the function, we're gonna destruct is active. Is active. And then here we're going to make, there you go, we're gonna make something like this happen. We're gonna use that we just created, right? And then we're gonna give it a value on how we want it to react, or how we want it to look on a how we want it to look on, depending on whether it's going to be active or not. So if it's active, I want it to have a background gray of maybe 700 and the text to remain white. But if not, then I want it to remain white. If it's not active, I want it to remain white, but when it hovers, I want it to have this. Well, it's already there, background 700. And when it hovers, I want the white to remain the same. Cool. All right, so now that stays like that. Which one was this? Oh, they're both the same. So you can see how the hovering is kind of working already, right? All right. So let's save that. And make sure that that's going to work. Is active. Alright, so the is active is not working, but the hover is, that's for sure. Alright, let's see what could be going on here. Alright, let's save this. Home, about, contact, home, contact, about. Alright, cool. Alright, I had to get some help from my notes because I was getting completely confused here. Maybe I'm getting tired. So this has to stay outside, and then the arrowhead function, or the arrow function, is the one that produces the little string. So that's why all this little string has to be as the content inside of the function, right? It's an anonymous function basically. I had it so that the string literal was wrapping the whole thing, including the function, but that's not correct. All right, obviously not correct. All right, so now everything here, and then the classes that I modified a little bit, so just kind of go over with that. And then now, so this right here should be consistent, semi-consistent, right? You see like how this also have the gray when it's active, so that's kind of working. And then it's also working here when it's about or contact. Okay, everything is fine. The only thing that is not working obviously is that it shouldn't be completely full width over here. It should just be, you know, smaller, and this one should have a little bit of padding and all that. So because of that kind of stuff, it's kind of like particular to each item. We're gonna do that in the actual app menu. So we can go to the nav bar, and then here in the app menu, okay, so what we made it here, we're gonna put a padding. I think they made a P2 to give it a padding. There you go. So you can have a little bit of a padding now. And now we can go to the down here to the footer, not footer, this thing. And we're also gonna give it a P2 maybe. See how that works out. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. Now you can go crazy with the design and however you want to do it, but I just wanted to make sure that it works so that I can show you a working thing. All right. So that's all that I have for now. I will eventually, I would eventually spend more time into this if I were you. Obviously, this is not really pretty but the only thing that I want to do just before so I can put the nav bar to rest is I want to make sure that I can switch this to white, because the background to white, and then we're gonna redo these colors over here because we're trying to kind of mimic this, right? So we're gonna make this now a little bit different actually. So let's go back to the menu again, and we're gonna now say that the color is going to be gray 100. That's good. And then the text is going to be blue 400, maybe 600, 500, 600. Sure. Then we're gonna bring in we're gonna bring in now. If it's not, then we want the text to be text blue 600. There you go. And then and the hover, I want to bring in the gray 100 as well, and text blue. So there you go. So now it's like that, and it, you know, kind of looks a little bit closer to what we want to go with this. So we're there. And same thing here, like that. So it looks a little bit weird right now because it doesn't have a shadow on the bottom or anything like that. Kind of to give it a little bit of a break of a color, but we'll eventually start doing this on the next tutorials. All right. I'm sorry this also was a little bit longer, but there was some confusion here that we had to get through it, and that, you know what, I kind of want this to be a realistic thing. You know, like I know a lot of people out there that put videos out and they fly through it. Okay, it's because they've already cut out a lot of the debugging when they hit a roadblock. Okay, I do too. If it's extensively long, if it's a lot of reworking or a lot of debugging, I do cut it out because I don't want you to stare at me doing this, you know. So but I do kind of try to, if it's small, I keep the debugging, you know, in the video, because I want it to be realistic. I want you to understand that I don't care how much you know, how good you think you are. Over the years, you're always going to have to debug. Ask any developer out there and they'll tell you that you'll spend 20% of your time creating and 80% of the time debugging. That's just normal, okay? All right, so if you want to skip through the debugging by putting it on a little faster speed or whatever, or just like fast forward a little bit, that's fine. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one.